Welcome all you Vermoto gamers to this brand new VMG featured segment called Behind the Controller. Basically what this is myself, Kellen Brower, will invite a few people every week to just sit down, have a little conversation with me, bench race, talk moto, gaming, everything. And had a very special guest on this week, and I hope you guys really enjoy this one. This will be a 3 segment part video, so depending on what segment you're watching, be sure to watch the other segments to catch any action that you missed. It'll be aesthetically boring, as it's just us kind of mobbing around on one track the whole time, but the whole purpose is for you guys to listen to this and enjoy this, and I really hope you guys have a wonderful time listening, and please send us your feedback and let us know what you guys think. Yeah, for sure. And you guys, like I said, just do an amazing job with that stuff. And you're touching on how, it was a difficult learning curve for you coming from, alive and reflex and stuff to pick up all this stuff. And I mean, I don't think. Well, I mean, I think people generally know that there's a pretty heavy influx of MVA players that play this game now, but I mean, there's a lot of people that probably were well known on the forums actually that play this game now. I mean, I know you mentioned that our buddy Cooter, who you guys took to Vegas in that one giveaway thing, now plays, and some people maybe recognize Barrington, and he plays this game, and those guys are getting good at this game, and it's pretty cool to see the transition, to see those guys come over for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And even Tyson Frisquez, who won both the Supercross and Outdoor Series this year, is an old NBA guy. We were actually just talking about it the other night, and he came from there. Most of the guys came from there. And as far as it was crazy. The learning curve really isn't just learning the game, but for me as a creator, building tracks for the game is way different because you play the game so much differently, and it's so much more realistic. It's actually an easier game to develop tracks for because of it being more realistic. You don't have to force different lines and stuff because there's insides and outsides in the corner, and corner speed really matters. So that's all exciting, and also you got to be a little bit careful with stuff because it's a lot easier to crash. NBA was fast and forgiving, and built for more of a casual audience, and this game it's hardcore, and it's fun as a creator though to be able to build stuff super real, and you get that real feeling of riding, and it's like, oh, am I gonna double in or triple in? And it's like, it's not just, oh, I just gotta pin it around the corner. It's you gotta be really precise with stuff, and timing matters, and whoop sections are actually a challenge instead of just a straightaway. So it's definitely a lot of fun, but there was a learning curve for me for quite a while, beyond just learning to play the game, but learning what tricks and stuff work to build for this game as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I came from MVA stuff as well, and like you're saying, is with everybody, and it was definitely a steep learning curve. But as you're saying, if you can encourage anybody out here to start playing this game, it's just once you get past that hump, this game gets extremely fun, and
Yeah.
obviously with the racing series, the whole Race Factory crew holds. There's just a whole new level of excitement that can be added to this game with series like that and stuff like that.
For sure. I mean, when I started, it was really, multiplayer was just kind of getting going in this game. The game's always evolving, and now we run 2 classes of outdoors, and you're qualifying to make the 40 rider field in both of them. And that's another thing that's unheard of in a moto video game is a 40 rider gate on a national. We run 30-minute plus 2 motos, and it sounds nuts. The first time I did it, I was like, this isn't going to be fun. It's 30 minutes plus 2 laps playing a game, and it's honestly so awesome. It's really, really awesome. And 40 riders, you're always battling with someone, and I'm not the greatest player ever at this game by far. I struggle to get into the top 20 and score points, and I have a blast though. Because you're always battling with someone and trying to improve, and even the best guys at this game are still trying to get better. And with the NBA games, you can still always get better, but it's by tenths of a second. Whereas with this game, you're chopping seconds off lap times, learning to do sections better and better and better. That's definitely what's always, the guys that are good at the game are still getting better, so the whole level of the field is always raising. And I guess you mentioned RF a little bit. Race Factory, we call it RF for short. We haven't really touched on that much, but again, me always trying to stay involved with as much as I can. And I guess it was a year ago at this point, myself and Adam Sweeney, who's known as Sween Doggy and MX Sim, who was pretty much running all the premier events in Sim at the time, and then Michael Wheeler, who's been, he's just one of the guys that we always hung out with, and he always helped run events and whatnot. We started Race Factory Gaming, which I'm sure a lot of you guys on the Gamers channel have definitely seen our stuff, and it's just growing and growing. It was a way for me to bring some industry exposure into the game, and I pretty much handle the sponsorship side of things, working with companies and promoting them, and that side of things more than running the actual events. But I mean, we have a lot of prizes. We just ran the Essex Open we had over $500 of prizes up for grabs. And that's real stuff. It's free for people to get involved with. So they're just racing for prizes for free. I mean, it's an awesome thing that we have going. It's for the industry, it's really good because as a company, being able to get your stuff in a video game is cool in multiple ways. One, it's cool because video games are awesome. And two, it's, you get to see your stuff in a digital realm and whatnot. It opens up a lot of doors. I mean, we even do like commercials. Live broadcasting is another thing that Race Factory is. We didn't bring it to the table new. It had been done a few times before, but I think we've not perfected it, but we've brought it to another level where, all of our main races are actually broadcasted live on the web and you can watch them. We have commentary and commercials and, highlight reels and all kinds of cool stuff on there. So it's a neat growing part of the game is the whole racing series. Like I said, we have official sponsors, and I mean, even at this point this year, there's a lot of teams that are, virtual teams that are supported. I mean, one of them actually is your team, Kellen. The Barry Motorsports Fly Racing team is actually getting hooked up with stuff from Fly. Like, I mean, that's awesome. Just for playing a game and being on the team, you're getting hooked up with swag. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. And obviously with you running that race tech deal over there, and other companies like 180 Decals coming in to sponsor the Fat Racing Honda team, and then there's always been the Moto Option Racing and Motorsport Jag now, and all this stuff. It's awesome to see the vast array of companies that want to get involved, and through RF working with you and everybody that's involved with RF, it really does help. I think the motocross industry as a whole, as a new kind of facet of promoting things instead of just, through the real world, it's virtual world, and there's so much more opportunities, and, I think in general it's pretty cool. But I got an interesting question, since, you would probably have the best knowledge of this, seeing both sides of it, but if there was a level of, like online competition to the degree that Race Factory runs events now in MVA, do you see that it would have been really prosperous, or would it have been kind of more of a hard thing to control, or would it have been not as fun because there's not as much of a difference between first and 40th or what have you? I mean, what would be your take on something like that?
As the games sit now, I don't think they really facilitated it very well, unfortunately. It was actually one of the things that I pushed really, really hard for Alive, and even games after Alive that were, hopefully going to come that never did, is to get the competitive stuff in there and get some tournament stuff going and really organize it, because I do believe that, for your core racers, that's what they want to do. They want to race, they want heavy competition, and they want an organized event. So I definitely was hoping that it would get there. I think the game itself, the gameplay would have facilitated great racing because everybody was so close. The competition would have been great. And I mean, there was definitely some people that tried some stuff and got it out there, but there was nothing really professionally managed that was super solid. And a lot of the problem was the infrastructure of the game itself didn't allow for someone to run a great event, whereas being on PC and being, the host or the creator, Josh Vanderhoof JLV, is, he's 100% behind facilitating racing and building in whatever he needs to build in to make racing happen and possible.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have loved to see something in NBA come to that extent, but like you said, it was just not very easy to facilitate it. For whatever reason, system restrictions couldn't hold a 40-man gate, or So have you, but you know, I definitely enjoy playing these. I think I've had way more fun on Sim than I've ever had on NBA. And not to say that NBA is, any of that stuff was bad, but there's just, obviously so much more opportunity to do different things with simulator, and like the whole racing series deal is just, I don't know. I just think all of it in general is something, really special, and that if people who have not been able to actually witness it for themselves actually were able to get into it, it would just be it would take it to a whole nother level. I mean, like, just in the last, year even, I saw, Barrington in the chat tonight, because we just had that arena cross race tonight. He's saying that his UID is somewhere in the 2000s, and we're up over 7,000 total UIDs for MX Sim, which means that, over 7,000 people have bought this game, and and that's a 5,000 or so increase in 1 year. I think there's a lot of good things ahead for this game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's continuing to be developed, so it's continuing growing, and because of user content, it never gets old. Also, on top of the fact the game itself is changing, uh, the biggest problem I would say with the NBA games was it wasn't so much the physics and stuff got old. I mean, again, I don't believe they were perfect. I won't tell you if anything in the game was perfect, but the biggest problem is just lack of content and wanting to have new tracks. I can't tell you how many times I said we should have a track editor. We should have a track editor. And then in defense of everybody working on the title itself, I don't think there's too many people that would tell you they didn't believe in a track editor, didn't want it. It always came down to budget and money, which unfortunately with a corporate company, that's the end all be all, which kind of brings me back to why I'm so happy now doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Money always gets in the way, huh? But so, one more question before we kind of transfer into some different conversation. And I don't know if this is really an interesting question, but I would find this interesting. You probably know, like, I know, for example, that there was, some really good guys that knew how to, take your guys' game, and I'm talking, like, in terms of just playing it, that they could take your game and do things that, like, you guys didn't mean to do with the game, and go extremely fast, where there would be a section where you're supposed to, like, triple quad, and instead they'd, like, 4-6 or something, and lay down ridiculously hot laps. Now my question is, like, Tyson, who's the champion, and Tyler Crane, who's battling with Tyson and stuff like that. Do you think that those guys have more natural talent at playing a game, like a motocross game, than the guys who were laying down those hot laps that we would always see on VMG videos in Reflex and Alive? Do you think, is it just so different that you can't compare them, or what would you say about just how well those guys can play the game on both sides?
I actually have to think it translates. I know Tyson was actually really fast at NBA, at least from what I've heard. Austin Jones, I know one of our fast guys, was fast at NBA. Zach Dupuis was fast at NBA. Actually met Middix or Scott McCracken playing Untamed a bunch. We used to play a ton together, and for a while he was like the guy to beat in MX Sim. So I have to think that it does translate. I mean, there's definitely a learning curve and some time there, but I think if you're good at video games, you're especially moto stuff, that you'll end up being good at Sim. And
Buddy joined your channel. Buddy left your channel.
Good thing I was in a pause there.
TeamSpeak, huh? Who was it? It was a buddy of some sort.
Yeah, it was Mikey.
Oh gosh.
Good thing you can cut this part out. Yeah, that's fine. I think I was actually at the end of a point there, so that's cool. I should actually add in a piece about, I didn't even think about it when you were asking me about former THQ staff. I meant to mention Alex, whose job I took at THQ. Well, here, I'll transition into it. Before we jump off the subject, I'll do that a lot. I like to skip back a lot.
Don't get too formal with us, Chris. You're scaring me.
One of the things that we were talking about former THQ staff and what they're up to is, when I started at NBA for Untamed, the reason I was hired is they had a track designer leave, and Um, I don't know exactly the reasons he left, but he had left to pursue another opportunity of some sort, and that's whose job I took is actually VMX Sky MX99, who a lot of you guys know from NBA or MCM2, and he's actually playing sim now and creating content too. He's a super good track builder, and he's definitely adapted to sim. He's built some really cool tracks, and what I mean, there's definitely a lot of familiar faces over here. I mean, everyone from the legendary Devin Davis to to guys like I said, even the developer side, or the fast guys you see online. You'll see a lot of them are now playing MX Sim, and it's not necessarily to say that it's a better game, although that would be my belief, as someone that's played a lot of both. But it's a fresh game, whereas NBA is just, without new content, it's not changing, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely don't want to turn this into a MX Sim is the best thing ever, or MX Sim versus NBA, because obviously I started this off by saying I loved NBA more than anybody, when I started at THQ. I absolutely loved it. And, although I'm a little bit burnt out of the games after seeing them every day for, I think 4 or 5 years or something. I mean, it was a long time. But this is just different, and I think it has the potential to grow into something so much greater because of being on PC and being community driven and user content driven. It's definitely quality, and NBA is awesome still. I'm excited to see people still playing it. It's pretty funny that you look back and I think more people are probably playing Reflex than Alive at this point, which is again a testament. I think the tracks were awesome in that game. I think a lot was done right, and unfortunately, I don't think Alive lived up to what it should have been because it didn't get finished on our side to what I think it should have been. And
Yeah.
that's where I don't want to go any further into it than that, just because I mean it is something that I'm a little bit bummed about, because you put a lot of time and effort into something, and you want to see it be the best that it can be, and if you feel like it falls short, well, that's a real bummer, for sure. So
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really have anything more to add to that.
Dualies.
Dualies. Oh.
That wasn't a very big whip, but we were at least side by side.
Yeah.
Oh,
Come on, and then you throw it away after that. So anyway, yeah, Dualies, Mikey style, and Mikey just totally raided our chat room. Hey guys, thanks for listening to these again. None of this would be possible without the help of RaceFactoryGaming.com, so be sure to go check them out, and as well as all of the sponsors of RaceFactoryGaming.com. We'll be back with more of these, so keep up on it. And again, thank you so much for listening.
For daily motocross pro and am coverage, be sure to log on to verbmoto.com, and if you like us, prove it.